I did it. Hi guys. It is Sunday, my dudes, and it is the last day of the weekend where we play hard, go hard. Yeah. It's been a good weekend so far. Good weekend. Let me start this thing off by, well, actually, I made a good shield. I'll show you that later. First off, this video will teach you how to use Trinity. So let's start with that. Okay? And what is Trinity and how does it work? It's a prelude to everything. Okay. Okay. Very easy. Trinity. High rolling one element gives resonance to the other two. You only need two high rolls, high rolling two different elements to gain full Trinity. What is Trinity?
I'm not up to that just yet.
I'll quickly show you. I'll show you how easy it is with my setup to hit it. Let's see. Let's just not have it fail now, because it should not fail. Oop, there you go. Trinity. One attack. And again. And again. And again. Okay, so what does my damage composition look like? And I'll tell you whether or not it's worth using Trinity. My damage composition looks like this. 900 to 12,000, 2,300 to 3,600, and 1,800 to 2,800. Right, so you might think, well, your lightning is way higher than your cold and fire. Don't you get lightning all the time? And to that, the answer is no. Because your damage averages out like on a range, right? You don't always hit top. You don't always hit 12,000, right? But it's so much higher. So don't you like hit it way too often, and it's not consistent? If you're hitting like once every 2 seconds with like a slam or something, and you're bossing on a single enemy, then yeah, that might be too inconsistent. And I'll explain why. All right, so we have here a little representation of damage. Right, so this is how your damage looks, right? And imagine there just being like increments across all this, right, on both of them, right? Thousands basically. Like this is like one, let's just assume this is like from here to here is like 1 to 12,000. Right? That means that this here, that there is like 2,000 small ticks in between these, right? So quickly here, whenever, if we think about it this way, if you ever hit below this threshold, right, below any of these two, the next that means whenever you hit like below this, that means every time you hit above this on lightning, you gain resonance. Why? Because if lightning has just been the lowest, that means one of these two were the highest. And then whenever it then gains above this, it means that now lightning is the highest every time, and you've had a non-lightning and then a lightning high roll, and you get it. Makes sense. Whenever you hit within this area, there is a chance that it'll either that it can high roll either of these three. Whenever you hit in with it within this area, there's a chance that either cold or lightning can high roll, right? So either of these could be the low roll. So if let's say we hit here, and then fire hits here, then that means that if either of these two, if either of these now hit higher, well, you get the point. You high rolled. So because the variances, or because you can because these ranges swap all the time, it's fine. Especially when you hit like 10 times a second. Because then it might look something like this. Like these things might look like something like this, and you have these things, right, in the same way. Like 10 attacks here, 10 in here, right? And they all spread out. And as long as it's not this, as long as you're not constantly getting this scenario, and then like this scenario, and then like, wait, hold on. It doesn't matter, because eventually this will happen. So there's no, in a setup like this, there's no way you don't get resonance sometimes. Even with low attack speed. However, with very low attack speed, You know, you can get into streaks where it just hits like here 4 times, and if you have 1 attack per second, you could drop Trinity. Yes. So, the more that it skews in the way where you have, say, the more it skews in like this way, and then red damage goes like down here, this is bad. Because now you would need to high roll with the lightning and low roll, very much low roll. Like the only instance where you gain Trinity here would be when you hit below this, but above this. Like you would have to hit here, and then the further it would then be towards the end of this spectrum, the lower the likelihood that this would roll higher. Right, does that make sense? It does. It does make sense. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And if you ever get to this stage where it goes like this and these never overlap, now you can't gain Trinity because you would never be able to high roll here. Okay? So that's basically how this works. You just need, the most important thing is that this damage range and sits within this, and preferably you want this damage range to be as far this way as possible. That's the preferred setup. Okay? Okay. Good. So now we know that. And then attack speeds are good, crits are good, anything that varies your damage. And this is a very high attack speed build with crit. So, Trinity, easy peasy. What you can have, just an example, let's say that it's lightning damage, cold damage, and fire damage. This works because these two are the only two competing, and as long as these alternate between, like, then you hit here and here, and then you hit here and here, and then you hit here and here, and then you hit here and here, right? As long as these two alternate, you get Trinity for the fire as well down here. So, as long as you have, yeah, so as long as 2 of your damage types can shift, you're good. So that's all you need. Now Trinity works. Okay, is Trinity worth it? Now I have a little POV here. So this is my build, right? On the, just in the fire. So I have elemental penetration and I have Trinity here. And this is a level 30 elemental penetration to give you an idea of what it would look like against just the normal pen. So like lightning pen. Lightning pen goes up to 37, so this would even be more than I think this like awakened lightning pen goes up to 42, right? So what does Trinity look like just versus like pen? If you don't want to bother with the Trinity mechanic, well, it would give you, with my setup, 45% damage, which is very common for the pen gem to give you that on a normal single element build. However, what does Trinity give you? In my setup, 85. The more multiplier in itself is worth more, generally is worth more than the pen gem. And you get 20 pen on top. Then you might think, well, isn't it easier just stacking one element? Aren't there builds that does that? Yes, like deck stacking or power or all these like single element stacking things, but they also scale off secondary stats. And so those are kind of exclusive because they get to scale off that metric, the stat metric. But if you're just talking about like regular, like even if you're converting, whatever, it's generally easier to get more base damage if you can combine elements. So one of the upsides of single elements in the past have been, well, we can pen single elements easier. But with Trinity and with stuff like Raider, with multi-element exposure, you have nodes like these with full elemental like elemental resist pen, and then this potentially. And we now have the claw, which is very easy to hit. It has gotten a lot easier to get enough pen against multi-elements at this point that multi-element stacking is now worth it. Because we don't need to solely rely on a single penetration for a single element. Okay? That's why Trinity is so good now, because the game has now, we've gotten to a point where we can actually benefit enough compared to single elements. Okay. Another point is that for the claw, right, that I'm using here, which is a nice claw, well, isn't that really hard to roll? And it's actually, this is coming back to yesterday. So just to follow up on like how hard it is to roll this. Well, let's say you wanted to do a single element Crusader Claw, and you wanted to get this rolled here, right? That is a 300 weighting. So on average, with just like, on average when you just alterate chaos and stuff, this thing occurs, let's see here, like, point, this is very low, right? It's a very low chance to hit. And even if you hit either of these, if you compare it to, say, well, how about hitting some cold damage? Right, these weightings means that there is a, like, the likelihood, I'll show you actually. Let's say I wanted to hit an element and the pen. Or let's say, no, let's say I'll show you this way. I'll show it this way. This is smarter. Go Exalted Orb, okay? We put an Exalted Orb. We craft on the cold. Let's say we have cold and lightning. Let's say we hit the nuts. We have cold and lightning already on the claw. Then we are going to exalt. Just a normal exalt. And we want to hit either of these. Add this influence. Oh, did I? Yeah. Add this influence, right. Now I just want to exalt it. Okay? And I want to hit this. Just with a normal exalt. It takes an average of 472 exalts. Like, tries to get this. Where you'd have to have this thing first and then exalt. Okay, what if we Crusader Exalt? Just Crusader Exalt. It takes you an average of 33 Crusader Exalts. These things are expensive. Now, let's say we get to this claw, which is, you know, reasonably likely with essences. I think with essences you hit this, just this setup here on the prefixes, with a chance that it might be slightly bricked, it might be blocked by a prefix, but let's just ignore that. Let's say that you just get 2 prefixes and you get to this stage, right? With essences, you can hit these 2 mods, like 1 in 40. Actually, I'll just check here. Oh no, we looked at that. If you want to see the odds of that, just look at yesterday's video. But it's like 1 in 40, 50-ish to hit it with essences. So we can get to this stage pretty easily. But to push it to the Crusader one is very difficult. However, and this is where it gets interesting, you use Ashling. And this is where we need to clean something up from yesterday. You use Ashling. Now Ashling has these kind of mods. So whenever you unveil, there's a... I think these are true, if there's nothing else going on. There's a 37% chance on the unveil, on the prefix, that this happens. The unveil is just you setting up Ashling. That's the cost. You don't need a Crusader Exalt. You don't need 400 Exalts. You can simply just spend your time setting up an Ashling, and then you get a 37% chance to hit this roll. Yes, you could also hit some of the other rolls. Like you can see here, you could hit the spell damage and the, you know, and stuff. That's very low chance because the weighting here, that determines like... So basically weightings are, imagine you are playing, what's the thing where they draw the balls out of the spinning thing? Yeah, you play that game. And then 100 of those balls is going to be spell damage. But then 1,000 of them is going to be increased fist damage and poison, and then 1,000 of these and 1,000 of these, right? And you pick one out, and then depending on what number you pick, you'll get one of these, and you get 3 chances, right? So that's why. So you have like a 37% chance to hit this roll, which is what we're hoping for. And if you hit this, your claw is nuts, basically, because you've hit like a triple prefix, and then you can fix the suffix later on with metacraft and stuff, but we've talked about that already. I'm not going to repeat that right now. But yeah, the thing to clean up from yesterday is this. Yesterday I said that you could check the unveils, and then if you didn't hit the right one, you could remove it and go again. You can't. Once you check the unveils with Ashling, it locks in that you have to pick one of the 3 and then finish up the item. You could get another chance with annulls. So if the action of putting one of these is considered a brick, we can annul, and you have a 1 in 3 chance to undo it and try again. Okay? And then you receive the same odds again. And, oh, but I could hit my suffix as well. Let's say, just say the suffix are dead. Yeah, you could... Hitting a suffix, if the suffix are already dead, doesn't matter. That just means you get another try to get the 1 in 3. Whenever it hits one of the prefixes, it's always a 1 in 3. So, with annulls, you have a 1 in 3 chance. You can also do prefix or suffix and stuff like that. That might be cheaper. Right? So all these, like, all the crafting options, you can figure out. But the thing I just wanted to clear up with yesterday's video was, once you unveil something on the bench, you have to pick something. However, if you unveil something and you pick the right thing, and you don't care about the next unveil, you can just, as long as it's unveiled and you haven't revealed it on the bench and not picked anything, as long as you don't reveal it, you can still remove the craft, as long as you have not revealed it. So, let's say you have a claw with a prefix and suffix open, and you only want to focus on the prefix, and in this case you kind of want to, unless you have only one suffix, you can lose a suffix. Like, it's okay to hit not the optimal one and you craft the last one, then it's fine to go on the suffix. But because then you could just craft on this claw, for instance, let's say the int wasn't there and I got a suffix, I could gamble the suffix, and I could just craft this prefix on here as well. Because you can also craft this roll. You don't need to unveil it. Right? That's another thing. So what I'm saying with this, use some common sense and figure out what is best for you now that you know the tools. And Trinity is really good. Cool. Cool. Now, I made this yesterday. I just want to show this off. It's a cool item. How did I make this? I spammed distances and I got super lucky. And I got T1 max res, and I got T2 max lightning res. Now, my suffixes were kind of scuffed because I hadn't gotten, even though this is a good suffix, I got 15 reservation on there, but I can't really use that for anything in this build. I can, but it's like tinkering. It's like the other 2 suffixes were really bad, and I thought, is this one suffix better than the 3? And I said to myself, So I had a single, prefixes prefixes stay or keep prefix real suffix. So I used that and a T1 chaos res and some mana. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna roll later on. I'm gonna roll prefixes cannot be changed, and I'm gonna annul. And it's a 1 in 3 to hit the mana regen. It's a 1 in 3 to hit the chaos res, and it's a 1 in 3 to hit the prefixes cannot be changed. So there's a 1 in 3 chance that I have to spend another 2 exalts to put the metacraft on there. A 1 in 3 chance that it breaks, and a 1 in 3 chance that we win. So that's going to be later. Like, it is actually okay to scour this down again, but for now, that's what I'm going to do, right? And if it then breaks, and I hit the chaos res, I'm probably going to do prefixes cannot be changed, Chaos Veiled Orb. That's probably what I'm gonna do. Most likely. Or, actually, I think previously cannot be changed and then Reforged Chaos is probably what I'm gonna do. And then Ashling Unveil, because it's the most likely outcome is that it's only giving a 4-stat item. And then I'm hoping for a 4-stat item or a good 2-stat that I can craft on the last one. But that'll be a further exploration. I hope you like these musings about crafting. Crafting is very interesting. I'm still mad about Harvest GDG, okay? This is not okay how I'll harvest this right now. No, no, no. But unveils are cool. And give us more souls so we can do more meta crafting, okay? Thank you. Good. Well done. And that's the video. Goodbye.